Thanks dalpro, I live for that robot voice. Hey guys, if you write a nice comment under the latest video you get the chance to be shown in the next video. Serious, what was something you saw you were definitely not supposed to see? Hard drive failed on my dad's computer. The data recovery software did a pretty good job really, but I could have done without it recovering nude and lingerie shots of the various women he's been banging behind my mother's back over the years. The code to open all the doors in my primary school at the time. A lot of power to open any locked door for an 8-year-old. I used to work in the basement of a pretty large hospital doing engineering work. They'll often cart dead bodies out of the hospital through the basement, so it's usually not a big deal. You just tend to try and ignore it. One time as I was finishing up a test in a pretty remote room, I walked out to an entire security detail escorting a body. I just got immediately shoved back into the room, so nothing really exciting happened, but I always wonder who that could've been. I don't know if I wasn't supposed to see this, as I can't figure out any reasoning behind this beyond maybe exhibitionism, though really I don't want to put exhibitionists in the same group as this couple because goodness gracious. I had a patient who was close to death and we called her daughter. She came and we set her up in the room to stay until her mother passed. She brought her boyfriend, which is not abnormal. I walked in to do my routine check and they were having sex on the cot that was set up for her maybe 15 feet from her dying mother. I mostly didn't want to see, so I'm answering this wrong. Borrowed my dad's camera, found out he was gay. My third job I had, at 17, was at a pizza place. I had 2 managers, one male, one female, and they were both married to other people. Well, I went to hand in my drawer at the end of one shift and walked into the office and there they were just making out with some heavy petting. Their spouses found out. They left their families, and then those 2 managers got married to each other. As far as I know, they're still together. Edit. I'm getting a lot of people sending me messages that are insulting me for having my third job by 17. Like wow, I didn't realize all you redditors were so accomplished by 17. But my first job was detasseling, like many other kids in my small Midwestern town. Then, I worked concessions at an outdoor pool. Once again, Midwestern town, so this outdoor pool was only open during the summer. So, then by 17, I needed another job, and thus, I arrived at the door of a Pizza Hut. Also no, I didn't tell their families. I was 17. I didn't even know these people's spouses. Their families found out because they told them themselves, because they both wanted divorces from their respective spouses. Won a used laptop from my female friend in a bet. She had a bunch of nudes on it. Edit. A lot of people are asking what the bet was. I drank a pot of béarnaise for it. She was pretty drunk while making the bet, but I came around next morning to collect cause I didn't drink that pot of béarnaise for nothing. If anybody wants to know how to drink a pot of béarnaise, you just pretend it's soup. Also stop me asking for the nudes. I deleted them as soon as I saw them. Dude robbed a gas station. I was riding my bike in the back, saw him take off his mask and get in a car. We made eye contact. I turned my head and acted like I didn't see anything. Happened when I was 7. I found the Tom and Jerry DVD I had lost in the back of a drawer. In celebration, I decided to watch it again. By the time my mother walked into the living room and saw me watching a threesome, I was already scarred for life. She took away the entire DVD collection. When I was a young teen, I was once leaving my house to go do something in the neighborhood. As soon as I got out of the door, I heard my parents at the garage. My mother seemed to be in her car, and my father was sitting down behind her car and pleading with her not to leave. My parents were divorcing, and I saw a few scenes that I wish I never had. Not really horrific, but seeing your parents in emotional pain can be rough. David Copperfield's show. I was at an angle that allowed me to see the volunteers running out from the stage during a disappearing act. I do conventions and corporate events for a living. Was once called into a room to fix a power cable. It was a meeting of a worldwide well-known house paint manufacturer. It was a closed door meeting, and I had to be let in to do my job quickly. They didn't stop talking as I did my work. We've pulled all the units from production and recalled all units on the shelves, but the ones still in transit cannot be recalled. They might be caught when they reach the sales floor if the retailers are still watching the recall, but it will have been weeks since we issued it. The guy who then responds to that states that they can prove they did their diligence in court with the recall, and any units sold to consumers will be the retailer's fault. I never did get to hear what the recall was for, but they seemed pretty tense over it, legally speaking. So I doubt it was quality control. I felt like I had witnessed the mafia talking about a murder. My dad's AA chips. Learned it's why my parents got divorced. Proud of him for being in recovery though. I found invitations to my big surprise 18th birthday just lying on the floor a few weeks before the event. I had to act surprised when the time came to walk through the door to the party, which I did. The only thing is, my twin brother also knew, which I didn't know at the time, and let's just say his acting skills are really bad. So we both found out in different ways about the surprise party, but neither of us knew that we found out about it. So when I walked through the door for the backquote surprise, I could tell from his reaction that he knew. Back when I was a teenager, we hosted a New Zealander at our house for a couple weeks. Guy gets to our place after the flight, and about 10 minutes later I'm walking around my house to see where he's at. The door to his room is partially open, and the dude is laying face down on the bed and humping the ever-living out of a pillow. I backed away slowly like Homer when he saw Apu cheating on his wife. I felt bad for the pillow. A while back someone posted a video of a father singing to his baby in the NICU after an emergency C-section. The baby had been taken out early because the mom has died unexpectedly overnight. The baby died shortly after. After I watched that, I felt like I had intruded on someone's private moment with their child, and that I was not supposed to see that. I filter the links I click on a lot more carefully now. I hope that man has found a way to begin his healing. Edit. For those asking, yes, it's the man singing Blackbird. Bad stuff. I saw a car get shot up one time. Good stuff. Discovering poorly hidden Christmas and birthday presents. The owner of the club, where my sister worked, took an armload of shotguns out of his truck. It was about 3 AM, and I was parked behind the bar waiting for her. The reason I know he didn't mean anyone to see is because he covered them with a tarp, and he gave a good long stare around when he got out. Shady f***er, he was up to every kind of no good. I literally scrunched down in my seat. I saw my birthday present in advance. I hated it and wasn't sure whether to tell my girlfriend as much. In the end I just used my advance notice to practice a good genuinely surprised and grateful reaction. We broke up a few months later because we had so little in common. I've since learned that honesty tends to work better if you want a relationship to work long term. The salaries of everyone working at the company I was working at, it was a smaller, startup digital ad agency with about 60 employees total, and someone from ours was making copies of a document that listed everyone's salary and left the original on the glass of the copier. I found it and turned it back in, but not before I went through that list to see what everyone else made and discovered that a couple new hires working the same position as me were making more than me. So after turning it in, I met with my manager and used my newfound knowledge to my advantage to successfully negotiate for a raise, along with a tacit promise that I wouldn't divulge what I knew to anyone else in the company. I came home from working my second job to my now ex-wife having sex with some guy in our house. When I was 11 I walked into my mum's bedroom and saw my mum and her husband doing a 69. We never spoke about it. Years later when I was 24 she walked into my bedroom and saw my BF naked with a boner. We never spoke about that either. I saw my mom giving my dad a blowjob, but it was on a video on his phone. One time when I was around 9 years old, I woke up to take a leak in the middle of the night. I saw that the TV was still on in my parents' room through the tiny opening in their bedroom door. My bathroom's near my parents' room. I went to check up on them, and when I opened the door, my god I can never erase what I saw. I saw my mom on the edge of the bed and my dad eating her out with all his might. I literally said, "Mama," and they didn't even hear me because they were so into it, so I just ran quickly back to my room. I remember the next morning, during breakfast, I asked my mom if there's any more juice left and she said, "There's no more. Your dad has the last cup of juice." And then my dad said, "You can drink the rest of it if you want." He offered his cup of juice to me, and I looked at the rim of the cup and already felt sick to my stomach. I'm 20 now, and I still can't believe I remember seeing that. TLDR, saw my dad going to town on my mom in the middle of the night. Back in the day, I would try to download anime episodes and clips off of P2P services. This was either days of Kazaa, before people widely recognized that P2P programs were hives of illegal porn, and I'm one of the kids who was introduced to all sorts of disturbing stuff this way. The worst, though, was a small clip of a crying girl, late teens, 20 at the most. It was only about 10 seconds long, but at about the 6-second mark, about the time I was sighing and saying ugh, of course this isn't Goku, someone shot her in the head. I hadn't even noticed the gun at her temple until her skull was shred to pieces. Every once in a while, I remember that, and it makes me wonder who she was, who mourned her, and what sort of sick person films that. Edit. Lots of folks are saying the video might have been a fake, even a well-known one. I sure hope so. 10-year-old me didn't know that, of course. It didn't mess with me too badly, but I never got the thought of how blood in the movies is never quite a dark enough read out of my mind.